How much worse are the new E.H. Taylor barrel proofs versus one of the older batches? Well, today we're going to find out. Welcome back to another episode of Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner, and today I'm doing something I've never done before, and that's compare two different E.H. Taylor barrel proof batches. Now, before we get going, I'm incredibly fortunate to have been able to acquire this E.H. Taylor Batch 11. One of you amazing subscribers out there, was able to source this bottle for me and was able to ship it up here for me. So, I'm wildly grateful and thankful, to have you as a buddy. And just wouldn't have this bottle without you. So thank you very much, Tom. This is a real unicorn for me, and just incredibly grateful. So the whole point of this video is, I've heard a lot about how the older E.H. Taylor barrel proof batches are just legendary pours, and that the newer releases just don't live up, or they just have a completely different flavor profile. And I'm fortunate enough to have the barrel proof batch 7. So this bottle here is from 2018. I've had it for quite some time. It's 129.7 proof. This batch 11, which we're going to fresh crack today, comes in at 129 proof. Now this is the 2022 release, so 4 years difference between these. Want to see how good is this one, or really how good is the older batch, because this bottle's had a lot of airtime, and give a little review first on the batch 11. These labels, I don't know if anybody else cuts their labels off, but I like to have that fresh, clean crack. Love good Coke pop. Ooh, came out quick. I always cut it and then put it back. So looks like it's not open, but in reality, it definitely is. Ahead and don't have much left in this bottle. But I do have enough just to get this comparison done. And a little background, the E.H. Taylor barrel proof started out in 2012, and this batch 11 is actually the first repeat proof, 129 proof. So I think batch 3 was actually 129 proof as well. So who knows? Did I actually get lucky and get a batch 3? Doubt it. So while we're giving this glass a little time to air out, just want to talk about the differences in packaging. So first off, you have the small batch. They all come in these amazing looking tubes. The small batch is in this lighter orange color, and then the barrel proof all has green labeling, and then the single barrel is in brown. So it's just I guess an easier way to distinguish between the different offerings, in the store if you can't quite make out the labeling on the bottle. E.H. Taylor is a mash bill 1. So mash bill 1 is the less than 10% rye. So this is going to be, the same thing as your Buffalo Traces and your Eagle Rare. So really excited to have this bottle. I think these only usually range in that 6 to 8 year age range, but they are on the younger side, which is why a lot of people kind of give this bottle, not so much grief, but it's not quite as highly touted, or high enough quality to be in the antique collection. But a lot of people, some people say that it should be included. All right, so yeah, go ahead and get into the nose. Yeah, I mean, that is a sweet nose. Man, that's spicy. But it's got, you can definitely tell it's got that hard candy, cherry sweetness, all that fruit's coming through. But it is a very brown sugar spice there dominant, almost like a clove. Definitely some clove in there. Yeah, it's just very spicy, and like this is 129 proof, and you can tell that it's a proofy gal. Like if I dig the nose like way down into there, like really singes the nostril, but like when you get really deep into the nose is kind of where that almost like toffee vanilla really shines through. But like all these notes are definitely like very sweet with a bunch of spice. Like that clove, like barrel-y spice there, brown sugar. But I mean, just looking at the glass, I mean, those legs are holding pretty well there. So I mean, it's always a great sign. I mean, like, look. Still holding! Yeah, a little old school. But yeah, overall, I mean, it's fantastic nose. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the palate. Cheers. Woo. That'll wake you up. Wow. Man. So, you definitely taste the proof there. Not in a bad way. I mean, you're drinking 129 proof bourbon, so like you definitely want to taste it, but it definitely is that is a punch there, and like it is spicy. That oaky barrel char, barrel spice, like that brown sugar spice that just kind of like dances all over your tongue, like kind of almost feels like a pop rock sensation, like it's just kind of like going all over the place. That definitely comes through there on the tongue. It doesn't have as much like red fruit sweetness as you would come to think like that I was getting, off of the nose there. But it's just very, I mean, like that sniff right there, I got a lot of red berry, but that wasn't necessarily coming through on the palate. But one more. Yeah. Man, like that, like brown sugary toffee, like oaks barrel spice, like combination there. It's really not shining through with like nearly as much red fruit as I would have thought. Like I get a big red berry kick, off of the single barrels and then also off of the small batches. And this definitely amps up every single flavor that I get in those other offerings. Just I feel like that red berry fruitness, like that characteristic red hard candy cherry that you get in so many of the Buffalo Trace products. Like you get a hint of it, it just isn't really shining through on this. It's just a real like white peppery, like barrel spiced, brown sugary cinnamon, that baking spice and clove. There's so much of that coming through. And it's an awesome pour. It's just if you're looking at batch 11 thinking that it's going to be like that red cherry dominant, barrel proof monster, it's not coming across for me, at least on the opening pour. I will say though, like with this batch 7, it did open up phenomenally. I mean, granted, I had this bottle open for almost 3 years, so like it opened up nicely, and even we'll figure out here on the last sip, but yeah, let's go ahead and get into the batch 7, see how it stacks up. Cheers. Oh yeah. I mean, granted, this bottle's been for a really long time, but it's not nearly like that spiciness. This is a little bit more like well-rounded in terms of like that sweetness. It's way more like sweet dominant. Like that clove note that I'm getting in this isn't really shining through. The nose on this on the fresh crack is definitely stronger than batch 7 from 2018. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into the palate. Yeah. Dang. Yeah, see, this one is way sweeter. Like, it has a little bit of brown sugar, where this one, is like heavy brown sugars. This is like light brown sugar vanilla, and then a lot more of like that red berry punch. Like it's like a juicy red berry in this batch 7. I don't know if it's just like the time that allowed this one to open up. Yeah, it's like confectionery sugar, like your white powdered sugar that's kind of like on like a donut. You get like that note, and then like it's almost like you're biting into, you know, like a cherry filled, you know, white powdered sugar donut. Like that's kind of the like the flavor profile that I'm getting. Like it's very sweet, very confectionery sugar. Yeah, and like that red cherry note is just like way up front there. Man. I mean, it's not, you can definitely tell they're the same bourbon, but yeah. I almost got like no cherry on that one. That is wild. I can definitely see a clear distinction between these two. I'm really curious to see how this batch 11 is going to be opening up, you know, as time goes by. But just, you know, first impressions with the neck pour, still think it's an amazing bottle. Like, definitely not like that like $500+ you know, secondary bottle. You know, like it is very rare. Like they're a lottery only bottle. Virginia gets like 1,000 of them a year. So like very difficult to come by. Yeah, I mean, it does look great to have like the full collection of them and to be able to sample through them. But in terms of like, is it like the best bourbon, you know, that I've had? I no, but it's definitely a fantastic pour. It is just like everything that you want out of like a barrel proof bourbon. It just like slams you in the face with a bunch of like that oaky barrel spice, brown sugary, nutmeg, clove. It is just a spice monster. I think that'd be a great thing to call this. Batch 11's the spice monster, because it really is. And like that brown sugary vanilla bomb like that you get in the mid palate is fantastic. I just think that this older batch 7 definitely has a lot more of that red cherry sweetness, which is something that when I'm drinking Buffalo Trace or one of the products, that's something that I'm usually looking for and the reason why I'm going to drink it. So like this newer batch kind of tastes off profile from like my limited E.H. Taylor barrel proof experience. But anyways, guys, like I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you have, would you please consider giving me a like? Would you please consider subscribing? And as always, this is Neat Bourbon. My name's Tanner. And pop the bottles and share the pours. And we'll see you in the next one.